Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is Sarcasm Speaks. We are Jared and Bob, and you have some fun stuff for us here.
It's not even fun. I'm just annoyed. Big surprise. Um, so currently in this country, obviously you've seen it a lot lately. The RFK Jr. stuff
Yes.
kind of going rampant. Like people don't know what to do about like Ozempic, and then like people are worried about like food dyes and all this shit. And it's we are severely, severely missing the point in general. And without getting too, I want to come back to like more of like the societal stuff because Jordan Syatt, you know Jordan Syatt?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is in the industry. He was actually, speaking of Gary Vee, he was Gary Vee's guy for a contracted term when Gary, I don't know if he's still doing that, but he hired someone to be his 24/7 personal trainer or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, so Jordan was doing that. I think he was at Cressy's powerlifter, whatever. He knows his shit. And most of the time it's no bullshit stuff. So he did a video on his Instagram somewhat recently about, hey, why do I lose weight in Europe? And everyone's like, well, it's the food quality and the ingredients. And he's like, okay, well, if it was just food quality and ingredients, there would be no overweight or obese people in Europe, right? Like if it's all food quality, food supply, and ingredients, then no one would be fat,
Right. Right.
which obviously is not the case
Correct.
because, uh, as you would probably agree, people who are overweight eat too much based on what they do activity wise. It's pretty simple equation. Eat more than you burn, gain weight. Very
Right.
simple.
Right.
So we know it can't just be the ingredients, the food supply, the whatever. And what it really comes down to is he lays it out. So like why when you go to Europe do you lose all this weight? Well, he lays it out as most people take a fuck ton of steps. So like if the average person only takes like 4,000 steps a day, you might take 20,000. So
Right.
you're quintupling your activity just based in steps, but like people also drastically overestimate how much exercise actually does for you. It
Yeah.
doesn't do nearly as much as you'd think.
Right.
Like quintupling your step count would be, I mean, dude, what do you think that's worth? Like 2, 3 hours of exercise or something?
I
Like
I would say, yeah, it's gotta
it's something
be.
crazy.
Yeah.
Like like 20,000 steps is a fuck ton. And like
Yeah.
I'm sure we easily covered that. Like I mean I can easily cover that in any city, right? Like remember
Right.
Chris bitching about his fucking bitching
Yeah.
about walking in Tampa? Like
Yeah.
so that's the thing for me. It's like any city you can pull that off. Um, People just notice it in Europe, whatever.
Right.
Um, and then the second point that he effectively made was generally speaking, you eat three like real meals of food. And in those three meals of food, you fill yourself up pretty good and then like you're not snacking and it's not on like you're not on the bullshit, right?
Right. Right.
And I think that's where a lot of people get out of control is it's the in between stuff. It's not like it's if they were to eat 3 meals a day at home, it's not usually like the 3 meals themselves, it's the other stuff. Now, I also think just anecdotally, there is also an element of quantity of ingredients, not what the not what the ingredients literally are, the quantity that goes into them. So it's like you get a pizza here and it's like they use olive oil in the dough. They use olive oil on top and below. And it's like there's so much fucking cheese on it. And like
Yeah.
I think most of these European countries, because that was the example being used, they just use like less stuff. It's not like they're not using those things. They use olive oil, they use cheese, but it's just less.
Right. Right.
Um, And it's the same thing like when I make like a Neapolitan dough or like style dough, there's less stuff in it than there is in what would be like a New York style dough.
Right.
And like, you do that and then like each ingredient like builds upon itself. So again, it's not really about the what, it's more about
The how
how much of
much.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how much total food are you eating? How much snacking are you not doing? How many steps are you taking? Like it's
Yeah.
all stuff like that,
Yeah.
which
I just
you hear
looked
a lot of
up
people.
as an
Yep.
aside, um, the steps. So for the week of Tampa, I would say I averaged probably 9,000 steps a day. Uh, that Friday, 14,000 steps.
Yeah.
Saturday, it wasn't that much. Saturday was only 9,000. We
Because
sat
we went to the
for
game.
we well we sat for 3 hours
Oh
at the
yeah.
fucking
Yep.
the sports bar, and then we sat for 3 hours at the actual game.
Yep.
But yeah,
Yeah, and that so
14,000
right
steps.
there too, that's a big thing because like I
That's
think I
what, a
told
50% increase?
yeah, something like that. And so like I told you, now again, this was just like all of Europe, so it's like UK and Ireland or GB and I, if you will. Maybe not the case, but like in Italy at least, again, I've been there once, people forget, and it's the only one I've been to, but there are no bars. Like there's no sitting at the bar for 3, 4 hours. No, Ireland has bars. UK has like they have pubs, like no problem.
Right.
But I think people always say like, oh, when you go to Italy, I'm like, and they always go, oh, like you didn't get hungover, did you? And I'm like, yeah, that's because they don't like they almost like kind of don't let you. And yes, I did get hungover one day, but like in a way, it's almost like they don't let you because you're not just sitting at a bar. Like you want to sit and have a drink, like you're sitting at a table. Someone's serving you. They move slow over there. They act slow over there. Like
Right.
you probably drink half the amount. That's why you're not hungover.
Right.
Now,
Right.
if you get wine, sure, but like again, like you can't just like smash a bottle of wine the way you could smash like 10 beers.
Right.
Like it's just not the same.
There's no one. This is probably an odd concept for someone from Italy to understand, but there's no one whose sole purpose is to just feed alcohol in your
Yes.
face, right? Like
Repeatedly.
we have those here that's called a bartender, right?
Yeah.
Like the only purpose is you sit where the alcohol is, and that person, their only job is to just keep giving you alcohol as much as you want, basically,
Yeah.
effectively, right? I know it's
And like
not
it's expected that they do it quickly. It's like that does not happen over there.
right, right,
Um, and I think a lot of times too, I think most of the stuff that they offer you is only because it's so, and again, I went to like the three biggest tourist cities you can go to, but I think it's only like that because it's so touristy.
right.
But again, there's still no bars, but like, yeah, if you want a vodka soda, I'm sure you can get it. But like, if you want a vodka soda in like where my ancestors are from, it's like, why would we have vodka here? Like, we're not Russian or Polish. Like, why would we have that?
Right,
And
right.
why would you want it?
Yeah.
Um, so anyway, so the point that he was like, again, he was making, he goes, there's nothing special about like the food supply. There's nothing special about the ingredients. There's nothing, whatever. It's all about quantity, both in terms of how much you're moving and also what's happening, like how much you're eating. Like you probably are genuinely eating less because most people snack like out of control, whatever. And my addition to that was you definitely can't drink the way that you think you could. And um, there's still a quantity of less, like in the foods. Like, you get a pizza, it's like it's not as dense as a pizza over here. It's like
Right.
you get sandwiches there. Again, they're just not as like heavy.
Yeah.
Um,
It is a different kind of wheat though that they use in Italy.
I have seen that, like the actual wheat plant
Yeah,
is different.
it's a different wheat. People forget the
Um,
wheat's different over there.
I've seen that,
Yeah.
but I'm also,
Some of it
and
has to do
again,
with glyphosate too. We a lot of the wheat that we have in this country is treated with glyphosate, just as a regular old pesticide for anyone that doesn't know. Well, it's not regular. It's used regularly, but turns out it's really fucking bad for you. Um, so it stays on the wheat, right? Obviously, it's supposed to be like cleaned and washed and all that when it gets turned into bread and pasta and all that, but you can't really get all of it off. Um, so there was a study done somewhere, and I think it was like 90% or something of all the people in the study had trace amounts of glyphosate in their body.
So this is actually exactly kind of the point that I'm trying to work towards because what you just said is probably factual, or I'm going to take it as factual because the way that you presented it to me makes me believe that you saw the study or the report of the study that makes that factual.
Yeah.
But people are missing the fucking point in general because someone will say that they'll be like, "Well, if we didn't have so much glyphosate in the wheat, like it wouldn't make us fat." It's like, yes, it would, because when you
Well,
eat a
yeah,
box of fucking wheat
it has
thins,
less to do with being fat and more glyphosate. Yeah, it's not apples to apples, right? If someone is trying to make the argument that glyphosate is why people are overweight, they're retarded.
yeah,
Um,
in because that's the
Glyphosate is tied to cancer. It's a carcinogen.
yes,
So like the
yes.
increased causes like of cancer, right, and all that stuff, that they believe is potentially due to glyphosate,
Now,
not
what's
people
the
being obese.
biggest? What would you say is like a top three carcinogen like in the fucking world?
Uh, I, cigarette smoke.
Yes. What do all fucking Europeans do?
Well, it's different. It's also different in Europe because it's like smoking American spirits. So this was the other thing too that I've heard people make the argument. Smoking pure tobacco leaves isn't necessarily carcinogenic. Where it becomes an issue is when you had all of these massive companies like Marlboro and Newport and fucking Camel and everyone that was like, oh yeah, let's add in whatever products they add, whatever chemicals they added, right? So you're not just smoking tobacco anymore. Um, but I think American spirits are just plain tobacco and there's no additives.
You want to know the number one cigarette brand in Italy?
So just because the brand is the same doesn't, we know this for a fact already, right? Just because the brand is the same doesn't mean the stuff that's inside is the same. Remember they did the whole thing about, was it Red 40 or Red 5 or something in Canada? It's not allowed. So like the Canadian product, and you did this too, right? Michaela's
Yeah, she had a
makeup.
green thing.
Like they're the same product, whether it was face cream or something, I forget what you said. But the same product is different ingredients, right? So like the number one cigarette in Europe is it Marlboro, right? Like
Yeah, it's Philip
yeah.
Morris.
Yeah. But like
So
again, just because like the Marlboro in Italy isn't the same Marlboro in the US.
no, and that's so yes, ingredients are different, especially like it might be more so in chemical stuff because you know what everyone says about Red 40 and Yellow 5? Oh, it's banned in Europe. Not banned in Europe. It is not. That is not true. They're like, oh, well, the Europeans, it's like it's not there. No, it is. It is very much in some of their products. They just have to label it as such.
Right.
And it's like anyway, and yes, there is some, especially I would say especially chemicals, right? Like
It's 80%, by the way. I found the study in a urine sample of children and adults in the US, 80% of them had glyphosate in their urine.
yes. So this is like the chemical thing. But I think what people are sort of forgetting, because I'm seeing this like all the time, the chemicals are a very, very micro thing.
Yeah.
Because if we talk about being overweight, being obese, some of these markers, blood pressure, heart rate, resting heart rate, respiratory rate, like things like that. 80% of that is going to come from the quantity of the food that you actually ingest, right?
Right.
Is that a fake number, but more or less a fair?
Yeah, it's fair. It's a fair assessment.
And people don't get fat from chemicals, and people aren't overweight and obese from chemicals. So if you want to
Right.
take this a different route, which I think some people are fucking up, take it a different route. But you're going to be in a lot of trouble because there's a lot that we don't know. Now there is a lot that we do, but there's also a lot that we don't.
Right.
But when it comes to just purely like just take like the easy health markers. Like I'm talking fucking archaic ones. Like even go to waist circumference, dude. Like
Yeah, yeah.
people have forgotten, and that's the thing is like I think like as we progress, like with some of this information and some of this studies and some of this research, I think we've actually sort of regressed in a way where people won't ingest certain chemicals and they buy their wheat specifically from somewhere and the only alcohols they drink or whatever and they're worried like these things,
But
yet
they
their waist circumference is
consume,
still too high.
yeah, but they consume copious amounts of it, right? And it's
Exact and like yeah, so it's like waist
you can
circumference still too
eat
high, resting heart rate not low enough, activity level still too low, but it's
you
like oh
can
but I don't
eat
need any
a
chemicals and
full-on clean, you know, quote unquote clean, right? Like a ketogenic diet, right? Where all you eat is meat, and you could go you could still do it carnivore. It's obviously going to be harder because of just the way it works, but like you could do like a, you know, your keto, your Atkins, your whatever, right? And still get fat.
yes and it's
If
like
you
take
consume 3,000 calories a day and you're only burning 2,100, you're going to get fat. You're going to gain weight.
and if you take someone here and take someone in Italy and you had a is it a calorimeter, the bomb
Yeah.
that gives you the yeah, and if you had a calorimeter for everything that each person ate and you just matched it calorie to calorie, those two people would have very, very, very similar in the basic health metrics if they both did it for a month and they were both pretty similar base, like say close baseline, it would end up being about the same.
Right. Right.
But in the United States, we have a problem with the basics. People are too heavy, they don't move enough, waist circumference is off, body weight's too high, body fat's too high, the macro stuff.
Right.
Yet all we're doing is worrying about the fucking micro shit that doesn't matter. Now it
Right.
matters to an extent, but what do they say?
Or
You're
it,
stepping over dollars and pennies.
yeah. Yeah.
Is that the saying?
Right. That
It's
is
the
the
perfect
saying.
example because
Or
like
you're, like you said, you're equating it to other, it's the wrong, you're putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable, right?
yeah,
Like
or
you're
it,
focusing on like the glyphosate and the red 40 and on all this stuff,
but
but
not total calories
but
consumed.
not total calories, right? And it's like if you wanted to focus on that stuff, then you need to have a different conversation, and that conversation is more of like health span and longevity, right? Because
Yes.
if you limit your red 40 and your glyphosate and your exposure to all that stuff, theoretically you should live longer and you should live healthier, considering that you're also not consuming
That's that
30,000,
so that's the
3,000
thing. It's like
calories a day, right?
none of
Like,
that shit matters.
yeah,
So if you are 100 pounds overweight and you have some corresponding health issues, whichever ones you want, doesn't matter.
right,
Whether you take in a food diet or not doesn't matter. It's
right.
not going to make you healthier or sicker because
Agreed.
you are currently sick, for lack of a better
Yeah,
term.
no, it's accurate. Yeah.
And it's like, people are worried about like, oh, well, this breakfast cereal has red 40 in it. It's like, maybe don't eat breakfast cereal.
Yeah, what
Maybe
are you,
don't eat any of
6?
it. It's like, oh, well, this candy's made with whatever. I don't know. Maybe don't eat candy.
Yeah,
Or like Portion control, because that's really more my thoughts on the matter are like portion control is stuff.
Right.
But like some things like cereal, it's like people freak out about, oh, there's red 40 in the tricks. It's like, how old are you?
Yeah, why are you eating
Why are
tricks?
you eating tricks?
Let's start with that conversation. Why are you eating tricks, right? Like,
And then
how
it's
about
like, why
eggs
would
and
you feed it to your
bacon,
child?
or
Like,
even
oh well,
even if you wanted to do something like I would allow like the protein pancakes and waffles and shit like that, right? Like if you were like, oh, I can't just eat eggs and bacon, I need something else. Okay, fruit, the protein pancakes, right? Like
dude,
the code. I actually really like
oatmeal,
the
fruit, like there's
Kodiak,
so many fucking
that
options.
Kodiak brand. It's pretty good. I enjoy them a lot. But like, yeah, if you have someone that's like, oh no, it's like, dude, why are you eating cereal? You're fucking 30 years old. Don't
Yeah,
eat.
and I think, and that's so to bring it kind of full circle with some of like the health shit going on in the country and some of like these longevity guys that are like kind of surfacing right now. They're they're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies because for most people, they are still consuming entirely too much food, and that's where most of the diseases that people are struggling with come from.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then still when it comes to like some of these weight loss medicines, people are like, well, you wouldn't need these medicines if people would just eat more and I'm sorry, fucking move more and eat less. And it's like, yeah,
Yeah,
but so that's the thing though. It's like, well, just eat less and move more. Just do it. And it's like, it's not productive. It is not a productive strategy. The strategy works, but it's not a strategy. It's a thought. It's an
right,
idea. It's an
right.
idea without execution. Like, how do you get those people to do that? Well, I don't know. Just have some self control. It's like clearly they don't.
Yeah.
So now what? Like,
And also now too, especially being a little bit older, right, and having a kid now, I can empathize a lot more with people, especially ones that have multiple kids. Right now, like the kid's easy. He doesn't go to school. Like I don't need to get him ready in the morning, but I can totally empathize with parents that work full time and that have multiple kids that are in school, right? Like elementary and middle school, because you need to get up in the morning, you need to get yourself ready for work, but then you also need to get tiny humans ready and like make sure they're eating breakfast, cook their breakfast, right? Because you don't want them to just eat fucking tricks and milk.
exactly. Yeah,
So like
exactly.
you need to do all of that and then like I said also get yourself ready and then go to work. Work all fucking day, sit at a desk, don't move around, get home from work, maybe pick up your kids from school, right? Like maybe take them to baseball practice at the end of the day, and then you get home at 6 o'clock, and the only option was to grab pizza on the way home. And when the fuck are you supposed to work out? When the fuck are you supposed to exercise? Right? Like, I get that, right? And you have some people that are
Just
like,
just make time for it.
some people are like, oh, I'll just get up at 4:30 and go to the 5 a.m. class at the gym. If you can do that, 100% man, good for you. But not everyone is willing to wake up at 4:30 in the morning just to exercise, to then get home and then continue to do everything else that they normally do, right? Like get themselves ready, make themselves breakfast, get their two kids ready for school, make their two kids breakfast, make sure they have everything packed in their backpacks, shovel them in the car, drive them to school, drop them off. They maybe to go to do two different schools. You have to drop them off at two different schools, then go to work. Like there's a lot of shit that people have to fucking deal with. And sometimes you just can't fit in time to exercise. And
Yeah.
I get it. And like I finally get it now. Like being older and having a kid. Again, I still have time to exercise and I try to work out at least 2 times a week, right? A good week might be three, four times a week. Sometimes I don't work out at all, right, in a week. But my goal is twice a week, right? Like just do something, like move, like just move and do something, right? Even if it's only 20 minutes and I'm doing like body weight squats and push-ups and pull-ups and something, you know what I mean? Like do something for like 20 minutes twice a week. But some people can't do that. And I get it.
Yeah. And what is in what so based on everything you said, because I agree with everything you said, what is the lowest hanging fruit that anyone can I don't give a fuck how busy you are. What's the number one thing that all of those people could still do?
Yeah, eat less.
Portion control.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
take the and because this is ultimately still my point. You can't ask that like the people that you just mentioned, because I know your kid isn't quite there yet. You can't ask those people to concern themselves with glyphosates and fucking red 40 and yellow 5. Like they're gonna be like, dude, no.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
you can try to convince some of these people are take whatever you have, get an idea of how much it is, and then just see where less fits somehow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Because dude, you know the drill. Like exercise isn't it. Like it's too hard to out exercise this stuff.
Yeah.
You know that.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that.
Right.
And it's like it's so easy to out eat yourself. Like it's so easy.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And then, and then just like again, bringing it back to everything where it's like think of I mean the routine, right? Think about that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, well, it's like, well, how do you like live a healthy lifestyle? It's like, oh, well, you got to get up early. And it's like, well, you got to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep. It's like can't do both.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, well, when you get up, like you gotta write in your journal or you gotta meditate. And it's like, I don't have time for this. I don't have
Yeah.
time for this shit.
My
And it's like,
5-year-old woke me up at 4:30 this morning because and just like got in bed, right? And it's like I couldn't sleep. Like sometimes that happens.
well, you gotta wake up
Like,
and meditate. And then
yeah.
you gotta like, you gotta get food ready and it's gotta be good. It's gotta be make sure it's doesn't have any chemicals and
Yeah.
all
Or
this
your
stuff. Make sure
3-year-old just woke you up in the middle of the night to tell you that he pissed the bed. So now you have to clean him or her, right? And now you have to change the sheets in their crib or their bed, depending, probably a bed at that point. Right. Again, I don't have a 3-year-old yet. I would imagine they sleep in beds by that point. Um, like, you know what I mean? Like, okay, like now what are you supposed to do?
and
You've
people
been
are
up
so
since
worried
3:30.
and people are so worried about like a single ingredient or
Yeah.
a group of ingredients or food dyes. And it's just like we are severely, severely missing the point. We are overthinking this
Yeah.
and missing the mark still.
It's the wrong. I will continue to go back to the wrong syllable, right? You're focusing on the wrong thing. Where if the argument again you want to have is the red 40 and the glyphosate, because the science is there, right? Like we know
Yeah.
for a fact that red 40 causes symptom over long-term use, right? This is the other thing. It has to be chronic use or chronic exposure to red 40 causes symptoms in children that is similar to ADHD, right? Like, I'm not going to go as far because some people are like, oh, red 40 causes ADHD. I don't know, dude. I'm not a fucking doctor, right? But we do know that children with chronic exposure to red 40 present with the same similar symptoms to ADHD, right? That we know that for a fact. So if that's the argument that you want to have and that's why you want to avoid red 40, okay. But don't
Well,
sit here and tell
this is
me
the thing
red
though.
40 is the reason why you're fat or your kid's fat.
Yes. And you better not be one of those people that just don't have time for whatever. It's like if you have time to worry about red 40, then you have time to do the other shit. And that's where I start fucking pushing back on people
Right.
because I agree with like that scenario where it's like it's mayhem, it's this, it's that, whatever. If you have enough mental energy and time to worry about a fucking food dye, then you have enough time to get your shit in order. Now, to whatever extent you want that to be, I don't care.
Right.
But that's my other piece.
Yeah.
Like people taking the time to worry about this stuff. It's like this country's as unhealthy as it's ever been. It
Right.
gets worse and worse over time. The more we learn, the worse it gets.
Yeah.
And you have unhealthy people. Well, I don't want to, I don't want to, take in any food dyes. Yeah, because that
Yeah.
sandwich you ate is just about like 2,000 calories by itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, oh, and I'm not really full from it. It's like there's a problem here.
Right.
Like, and yes, it requires like eating some of the same things too. And that's shit that drives me crazy is we are like, and now people are fighting politically about it. And it's like none of this matters. None of it matters
Yeah.
for most people. And again, if you personally want to choose to cut out chemicals or cut out dyes or cut out this, cut out that, perfect. That's fine. But my only kickback, my only pushback is if you don't have time to eat healthy or plan a whatever, then you don't have time to worry about a fucking single ingredient in something
Yeah,
either.
I actually 100% agree with that, right? Like if you're going to take the time to do the research on that stuff and be informed, right? If you're going to take the time to get informed on the harmful or potential harmful chemicals that are in our food, then you also have the time to get your shit together.
Yeah. And that's
I
in
agree with that.
and that's my and it seemed like a lot of people are wasting a lot of time arguing about stuff that just isn't that important. It's the last
Yeah.
2% of the equation.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, especially now today too, right? There's so many things that are coming out that's like this causes this, and then the whole thing with phthalates and plastics, and they're shrinking men's taints and all that other shit. Like testosterone's lower, and the plastic and all. Like, there's a lot of shit to worry about, right? And the approach that I've taken is the things that I can control. I'm going to limit exposure as much as possible, right? I did this years ago. I switched from plastic Tupperware to glass, right? Like,
So here's a good example on that exact topic, right? Take
yeah,
someone who doesn't like prep their food or anything, and they go, "All right, you know what? Today's the day. I'm gonna start prepping the way I need to prep."
yeah, if they put it in plastic containers, like that's fine,
And then
right?
so yeah,
Like,
and then it's like oh, it's like you know what? Finally, I prepped, and someone's like, "Oh my God, you didn't put it in plastic, did you?" And it's like,
yeah,
"Well, I did." They're like, "Oh
yeah.
my God, you can't do that." It's like, "Wait a minute, what did you use in the dishwasher?"
Yeah,
It's like, "Oh my God, you didn't use one of those pods, did you? You can't do that." Like,
yeah,
do you know how unhealthy all of those things are now?
yeah,
What the fuck did you just teach that person?
right.
They finally put the effort in to do
And it
the
wasn't right.
macro.
Yeah,
And then people are worried about the shit that just doesn't matter that much.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so like again, that's my point, right? Like the things that I can control, I will control them and I will limit my exposure to whatever, right? But like if I'm going out to a bar or I go to a restaurant and I order something off the menu, am I gonna sit there and be like, excuse me, was this fish packaged in plastic? Like, dude, I don't give a fuck. Like, it's
Yeah.
one
Or
thing,
like
right?
you've
It's
seen you've seen some of the I hope they're parodies, but like it's like, oh hey, like I don't need any whatever oils. Like could the chef cook with this? And it's
yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
No. Like I hope that's a joke.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, can that be cooked in whatever? It's like maybe. But that's one. It's like when you cooking animal fat versus butter versus olive oil. It's like
Yeah.
again, you are missing the point. Whatever the information is, I'm sure it's correct.
Yeah.
I'm sure it is. But I know for most people, that's not the issue.
Right.
It's
Right.
like, oh well, I cooked in five tablespoons of
Beef
beef
tallow.
tallow because I thought 5 tablespoons of butter was bad, and someone said something about like 5 tablespoons of olive. I'm like, maybe you don't cook in 5 fucking increments of animal
Yeah.
fat. Maybe
Yeah.
use 2.
Right. Right.
Save
Yeah. And then
yourself
after
600 fucking
I
calories,
took the beef
whatever.
tallow and poured it all over my steak. Right. It's like maybe just cook in it. Maybe just cook in it. Right. So your steak doesn't stick to the pan. Um, and then go from there, right? Because, well, that was another thing too, right? Again, talk about information overload, right?
Yeah.
Like a while ago, I switched to stainless steel cookware. Like I went away from the non-stick stuff because it has goofy ass shit in it, right?
Yes.
But again, like it's just little things that I have control over. So I will handle that. Am I going to go to a restaurant and be like, oh, what kind of pans do you use? No, I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck, dude. Like, I don't
Like
care.
you would never tell someone who's trying to get their shit together and be like, all right, well, first thing you do is like make sure you just have all stainless steel pans. Go to madein.com and spend $1,000 on pans. It's like,
Yeah.
what? I was just gonna go to the store and buy some broccoli.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, no, 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 no.
Make
You
sure it's
can't,
fresh.
you can't just get vegetables. You can't just get, oh, that's the other, oh, well, you can't get vegetables from the grocery store. You have to get it from a market. Like,
Yeah.
do you know what's on those? It's like, again, all of these things may accumulate into something.
Right.
But if you have high cholesterol and you eat like shit, you need to not eat like shit anymore,
Right. Agreed.
regardless of chemicals. And the same thing with the people who have like high blood pressure or pre-diabetic, whatever. It's like, well, I get the potato chips that are fried in olive oil, not, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not it, dude.
Yeah.
That is not it.
Yeah. What are the big ones that I see on Instagram now? The masa, whatever, MASA chips. I don't know how to pronounce it,
I
but I
don't
think
even
they're
know.
they're cooked in olive oil or something. No, not yeah, either olive oil, avocado oil. I don't know, something like
It's
that,
one or the
right?
other.
But it would be like sitting down being like, "Oh yeah, I stopped eating a full bag of Lay's potato chips. Now I just eat a bag of masa potato chips." And
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you're missing the point, pal. Like you need to just not eat an entire bag of potato
Yeah.
chips.
Missing the point.
I mean, we go back to who was the guy? He was a college professor um, that ate McDonald's every day for a month and lost weight. Like McDonald's is about as fake as it fucking gets.
Yeah.
And he ate off the McDonald's menu every day for a month straight and he lost weight.
And lost weight. Did he do any measurements? I don't know.
I
Like,
don't I don't remember that part of
I
it.
wouldn't be surprised if the measurements came out better.
Yeah.
Now, maybe like
Maybe the blood work wasn't
maybe
so
fatty
hot.
acids, maybe
Yeah,
cholesterol wouldn't be as good. But dude, sometimes though, because remember, you don't know how bad it was before then. That's the other
true.
piece.
True. Well, that's the thing. If that's your baseline, right? If you ate McDonald's every single day
And
and
lost
you
weight.
and you became 25 pounds overweight, you can continue to eat McDonald's every day, just eat less and you can lose weight, right? So like that's
Yes.
the thing. Like if you already eat like a child and you eat like shit, right? Like you bounce between McDonald's, Wendy's, Five Guys, all, although not to shit on Five Guys, but they're great. But if you eat fast food stuff all the time and you're fat, you can continue to eat fast food all the time and lose weight. You just eat less. Just
You
eat
might get
less
and
than what
there's a
you're eating.
possibility that you become healthier from doing so,
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah.
even though you still ate all the same chemicals and all the same everything.
Right. Yeah.
We're getting dumber.
We are.
We're getting dumber.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now it's like, and again, now like the political charge behind this stuff is it's even fucking worse.
Right.
Because I saw that, so I think I've mentioned like all like the Ozempic stuff. And I'm like, yeah, okay, like the obesity doctors say that like some people need that. That's their kickstart to eating better and moving more, eating less, moving more, eating better, all of it.
Right.
But then it was funny because I think either Trump or the Supreme Court, someone denied something that would have made GLP-1s accessible to like everyone or Medicare, like Medicare would have
Oh
would have
yeah.
had it or
Yeah.
whatever. And they're like, "Oh, this is so disappointing." And someone's like, "Okay, well, what's the strategy? Make it affordable and accessible to everyone." It's like, "Well, how the fuck is that going to happen? How the fuck is that going to happen?
Yeah.
Pharmaceutical companies and insurance companies, are you serious?
Right.
How the fuck is that going to happen?"
Yeah.
Like, I know it's a complicated topic. It's like, it's an impossible topic. What you want can't happen. So, yeah, you're severely disappointed on the one side. And I thought that was a fair point. But then your alternative is not a fair point because it's not possible. Yet every day we're talking about this. We're talking about chemicals. We're talking about this. We're talking about that. You know, people eat fast food, but they're worried about Red 40. And I'm like, You're missing the point.
Yeah.
We're all missing the point.
Yeah, I ate an entire extra large McDonald's fries, but they were fried in beef tallow.
Yeah, that's what saved you.
Yeah. It's like, all right, maybe start by ordering a small.
Oh, I don't want any food dyes, but vodka soda, splash of crayon.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Oh, you know that crayon might have food dyes in it. It's like, oh well, I can't just drink a vodka soda. Okay, yeah, all right. When it fits your narrative.
Right. Right. Yeah, people are just fucking,
Missing the point. And that's the frustrating
yeah.
thing. And it's now it and again, so it's frustrating that everyone's still missing the point and now it's become a politically charged argument. And
Yeah.
it's like you guys are arguing over shit that doesn't matter, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Yeah, people just like to argue, right, over especially political stuff, right? And it's wild
It shouldn't be this way.
how everything gets politicized.
And it shouldn't be this way. And then like that's the other thing.
No.
It's like, oh well, the wheat's like I know go back to the wheat and I'll put a bow on this quickly. It's like, oh, the wheat's different in Italy. It's like then move to fucking Italy. Like if you want Italian wheat, then move to Italy. Like the wheat here is the wheat here.
Right. Right.
Like the agriculture is different. I don't know what you want. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Do I wish that the wheat was the same as over there? Yeah. I didn't spare a single calorie over there and I felt great. Like I don't know. It's just not. And like California is the only state that has like a similar climate to like that part of Europe.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. But like, yeah, I mean, we'd have to, and like, that's the other piece. We'd have to change a ton, and it's like, it's still not that important. And until we get that part through our heads, the rest of this shit is a waste of time.
Yeah, basically.
And I threw in a little note about like athletic development too, but I'm not even going to go into that because all I know is that our like we know more about sports and development and whatever, and our kids are less athletic than ever. But that's a different issue.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's the same theme, different issue. We're
It's
worried about
similar.
shit that we're worried about the micro, skipping the macro, and thinking that because we did the micro, that we're going to cover the macro.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just, yeah,
It's been
people.
pissing me off for like 2, 3 weeks. That's the thing is
Ah,
like it always seems so promising. It's like, oh, RFK is gonna like do some stuff, and it's like, motherfucker. Still fucking politics, still a fucking politician, still not doing shit. Skipping the shit that matters, worrying about shit that doesn't,
right.
fucking drives me crazy.
Right. Right. Yeah, like why not let's redo this stupid fucking my plate thing, right? Like why don't we actually educate people on, you know, what's good to eat, what's not good to eat, stop demonizing different food groups, right? And then maybe, I don't know, maybe in health class, God forbid, we don't have to teach them how to do the actual math because they have this on internet now, so you can just pull up your phone or your laptop. I think kids have laptops in schools now anyway. Um, Show them the Harris-Benedict equation, right? Like this is you put in your
Yeah,
age, weight. I
yeah.
think
I
that's it,
mean,
right? Just age and weight and gender.
height,
Age, weight, gender, and height.
height
And
might be
then
in there.
it will calculate your BMR, right, which is your basal metabolic rate.
Yep,
And that is if you laid in bed all day and didn't move a single muscle,
that's
right?
how many calories you
All
would
you did
burn.
was breathe. That's how many calories you would burn.
And it's funny because you and I both know there's so many limitations with that idea.
Oh yeah.
But if you just went back to that, a lot of people would lose weight.
Right. Right. Yeah, because then you have so you take your BMR, right, and then you multiply it by the factor of your activity level,
Skip
right?
that. I even
Yeah.
that's what for most people like that need to lose weight. I say don't even factor in activity because it's usually overestimated.
Right. Right.
But if you just took your calories and ate to that number for a month, you'd be in a great spot.
Yeah.
Way easier said than done.
Right.
But again, you wouldn't have to worry about the chemical in a skincare fucking tube jar.
Yeah.
Oh, the sulfites in the wine. Don't worry, Italian wine has sulfates too. They do.
Yeah.
The shit I had delivered from there has fucking sulfates in it. It's not that.
Oh, the wine's different.
Oh, the wine can be different. That's where the vineyards are. But don't worry, they still have
Yeah.
sulfates and sulfites in there.
Right.
So you don't go fucking blind.
Ah. So, one more quick thing here before we wrap this one up. Um, but in similar fashion with this whole like politics thing, I saw the other day. So recently, Joe Rogan has had Daryl Cooper and Ian Carroll on, who are, I would say, relatively controversial in their own right, um, for reasons that honestly are kind of blown out of proportion. Now, I don't know either of these guys other than like seeing them on Twitter and when they're on the Joe Rogan podcast. I don't listen to any of their actual podcasts. I haven't read any of the stuff that they actually put out. Um, but you hear people, especially on the political left, call them all kinds of things, right? Like neo-Nazi and all kinds of crazy Holocaust denier and all kinds of shit like that, right? So, um, people are starting to freak out because Joe Rogan had these two guys on his podcast over the course of like a week and a half. And again, this is the, you know, contrived story, the focusing on the wrong thing, whatever. And I saw someone on Twitter posted this big article, and the title was like something about like there's a rift in MAGA politics right now because Rogan is trying to send President Trump a message. And I'm like, all right, let's pump the brakes here. Let's really let's take a seat, right? Like let's not even slow down. Let's stop and take a seat. First of all, Joe Rogan is not a Republican. He is not part of the MAGA movement, right? Despite everyone trying to paint him in that corner. I've been listening to Joe Rogan for fucking 10 years at this point, a full decade, right? Tens, if not hundreds of thousands of hours. I've listened to him talk to people. He's he's not a MAGA Republican, right? He had Trump on his podcast. He voted for him because he was a common sense vote at the time because the other option was fucking dreadful, right? Then they're saying, well, Trump is pro-Israel, right? Trump has been pro-Israel. He's all this. He's anti-Palestine. He's doing everything to help Israel. All this, yada yada. And Daryl Cooper and Ian Carroll are anti-Semites and they're neo-Nazis and all this. And it's like that's also not true, right? At least from what I know, maybe they are, right? Like I don't. Again, I don't follow them super closely, but the thing that people get on Daryl Cooper about is late, at least lately over the last couple of weeks, is that he, I think it was a podcast that one of his own podcast episodes or something he was doing. He talked about how post World War II, Winston Churchill wasn't really like the best guy. And somehow people on the left took that as him saying that Winston Churchill was the real villain of World War II, which then, if you continue to play the transitive property game that they like to do, he's
That means you
saying that
love Hitler.
Hitler is was right. Like that's the mental gymnastics that these people have done because this one guy at a podcast criticized Winston Churchill for his antics post World War II. Therefore, he supported Hitler, right? Like that's how it goes. And then Ian Carroll is a bit of more of like a conspiracy guy from as far as I know. Like I think that's what his whole shtick is. Um, and he questions a lot because he I think he questions a lot of the Jeffrey Epstein stuff, and he's convinced that Epstein was tied to Mossad, so he questions that, which means he's an anti-Semite, which means he doesn't like Jews, right? Because he questions Israel. So this massive fucking pretzel that these people have tied themselves in is Joe Rogan, who's not a Republican, right? Has had these people on his podcast over the course of 2 weeks that have been portrayed by left wing people as things that they may not actually be. And therefore, there's a rift in the Republicans right now. And there's a massive issue with MAGA Republicans not supporting Israel and those that do. And I was like, what the fuck did I just read? Like, seriously, like, what did I just read? But at the same time, they got me. Right? Like
Man.
they got me to read the fucking article and I did. At the end of it, I was like, wow, we are now all dumber for having gone through this, right? May God
Yes, you
have
are awarded
mercy on
no
your soul.
points. You are awarded no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Yeah, but they still got me to read it.
Yep, they got you.
But it's literally like it's becoming more obvious than ever how made up all everything is. The premise of their argument was there's a rift in MAGA Republicans, driven by a guy who's not a Republican, who has nothing to do with politics, having two people on his podcast that have been painted by left wing media as to something that they may not actually be. But yeah, the Republican political establishment is crumbling. Like,
They all suck.
what? What is happening? What are you saying?
Dude, at this point, I'd prefer just to not know.
Yeah, seriously. On that note, do you want to wrap this up?
Let's. Bought a new push cart, finally.
Nice.
If you remember, which you may,
Yeah, you had
Kayla and I were
the
trying to
blue
repair
one, right?
mine during the
Yeah.
pandemic
Yep.
uh in the living room in Mansfield.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that push cart lasted me a good amount of time. I had it when I was a member at Harmon. It's lasted a while. But I kind of knew it was on its last legs and going to my trunk one day and I see that the bolt had snapped again and I go, "Yeah, it's probably about time." So I ponied up. I bought a nice one, bag boy. The thing's a beast, but yeah, RIP to the OG. I mean, that fucking bolt broke again. So I'm like, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
So I used the other one once. Yeah, it's pretty good. It is. But yeah, no more replacing bolts.
Does it still fold up? Like, is it compact
The new one I bought,
or semi-compact? I mean, it's a fucking push car. Like, it's not going to be tiny, but
the new one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I know there's some that like only fold in half, and
No,
then
I
there's
mean it's still
others that
if
like fold three to like I have a three fold. Like the front wheel folds up, and then
Yeah.
the rest folds in half.
So the one that I have now, I can just kind of pop it open from the middle
Hmm.
and everything like opens and then I just bring the handle up.
Nice. Got a lot of storage.
I guess. I guess I do.
How many bodies can you fit back there? So yeah, good investment.
All I got. That's literally the final thought. I got a new one. Used it
Uh,
once. It seems to hold my clubs
yeah, that's
as
important.
I push them.
Yeah, that is probably the most important thing. Is holding the clubs. All right. So my final thought, again, kind of similar to the last thing I just talked about. I just kind of don't really understand what's going on, and now I'm kind of in a pretzel because I think other people are in a pretzel. Um, the whole stock market thing. So that's been going on. The stock market has been tanking. I mean, by the time that this will come out on Thursday,
Would you like to rephrase that?
what?
The stock market has been on sale.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
There's
No,
been
no,
a
no. That's
sale
fine.
store wide.
Again, I get no, I get it, right? Like I'm not here running around saying the world is ending. Um, but everyone else is, right? Like people, and again, we've talked about this before, right? If you walk into Old Navy and they have a sign on the wall that says 40% off, you're like, oh shit, this is great. But somehow the stock market, when things are 40% off, people are like, oh my God, it's the worst thing ever. It's like, no, dude, just buy more shit. Everything's on sale. I like it's a sale. Just invest more money. Now's the time to invest more money.
An
But again,
opportunity.
people are retarded. They don't understand that. Um, and also, there are some people like I understand the people that would be freaking out that actually are at retirement age, right? Like that sucks. If you're, collecting, if you actually are retired and you're pulling from your 401k currently, yeah, that sucks. You have a little bit less in there right now. So I understand it from that standpoint. But I saw this other thing that 10% or I'm sorry, the top 10% of the US income wise, right? So like if you rank everyone in the country by their income, the top 10% of income earned in the US, those people, they own 88% of the stock market. So quite literally, what I've been seeing people talking about is the only thing really, the only people really that are affected by the stock market going up and down is the ultra rich, right? So the thought is, yeah, like I said, again, there are I can have empathy for the 72-year-old right now that's retired collecting still from his 401k and it just took a fucking 15% hit. I get it, man. Like that sucks, right? But for the top 10% earners in the country that own 88% of the stock market, that tells me, right, and this is what I'm gathering from, people that I follow and stuff like that. It's all fake, right? It's all contrived. It's all media driven, right? You're telling me 88% of the stock market is owned by the ultra rich. Well, the last 12% is owned by the rest of us, right? So if the stock market tanks, yeah, 12% of us are affected. And again, that's a shit ton of people, right, that own it. So we all own a smaller piece of the pie, which means we're affected less, right? So like the ups and the downs are less ups and downs for us because we're not part of the top 10%. So it's what I saw someone break down way more eloquently than me was it's all driven by the media. All of this like outrage, not necessarily outrage, but the running around like your hair's on fire thing is all media driven because they're like, oh my God, the stock market, it's down. Oh my God, that's so bad. Well, like we know, right? That's not bad. That just means things are on sale. So now's the time to invest. And two, the stock market doesn't really affect normal people, right? It only really affects the super rich.
I mean, the people, and then on a smaller note, the people actually pulling from it, because the top 10%, they can wait out
Right. Agreed.
a
Yeah.
drop.
Yeah.
It's the people who need the money now.
Right. Yeah. Those are the people that get fucked. Like I said, the person that's 72 pulling from their 401k just lost 15% of whatever was left in their 401k. And they don't have the time necessarily to sit out and wait because they're 72, right? Statistically speaking, they only have potentially 6 more years left to live, right? And that 15% hit might mean that they run out of money before they turn 78, right? Like that's a real thing. So again, I do feel for those people, but in general, the normal person isn't massively affected by the stock market. Yet that's all anyone wants to talk about. And then I saw someone else say, and this is the part that I don't really understand, that it's like being fucking a Patriots fan and listening to sports radio in Boston. People calling and are like, "Yeah, Felga, I got an idea. The Pats are gonna get a first round pick for Joe Milton." It's like I've heard people talk about like the classic, like, "Yeah, Trump's tanking the economy on purpose because he needs it to go down so that things get better in the future." And I'm like, there's people that are way smarter than me that are saying this. So like maybe, but I don't understand this. Like apparently it has to do with interest rates, right? So like if you tank the stock market and the economy dips a little bit right now, the interest rates in the future will go down. So like the Federal Reserve will cut their interest rates, which means that it's more cost effective to borrow money, which means in the long term people have lower interest rates, right? So that's a good thing. So it's like, yeah, you take a little bit of a hit now to make the future better. I get it a little bit, but like I don't get how that works. I just don't understand that. Like, and I'm not saying I disagree either. Um, it sounds like it kind of makes sense. I just don't understand the mechanism of how it works.
You know what it sounds like to me? You just need to know how to play the game. No, I don't know how to play the game, but
Right.
because it sounds like that's all that is. It's if the market tanks now to lower interest rates, then that means you can refi or you can borrow money or whatever,
Right.
and you get a favorable rate and you just handle it the right way. That's the only thing though I don't know how to do is I don't know how to leverage all that.
I don't either.
So in the meantime, I will just be buying things low,
Yeah.
which ultimately too it's like really not that low.
No. No, it's like a 15% drop. I saw someone said, I think there was a 22% drop. Oh no, it was like January of 2022. There was a massive drop. And it was like no one was panicking then because Biden was in office. Right? Like that's just people are just nuts. So yeah, that's my final thought. That kind of understand the stock market, but I don't understand it. But then again, it also doesn't really matter because I'm not in the top 10% and I don't own, I'm not part of the group that collectively owns 88% of the entire fucking stock market. I just have one tiny, tiny fucking sliver. So that's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe up above, hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy. Uh, you get us on Instagram at Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm_speaks. The Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Check out the show notes, support the sponsors, support us. And until next time, good night, everybody.